Look at you looking like you're in a cabin in upstate New York
Oh,
enjoying
I'm in
the
my
snow.
what do you call it? I'm on a West Side apartment. You like it?
Oh yeah.
I just fixed it.
Nice. It looks really great.
Yeah, I wish I had views of Central Park instead of have views of an office building.
Well, the great thing with green screen is you can have views anywhere. Let's go.
Green
Let's
screen.
get
It's not a
live.
green screen. This is my apartment.
Oh, damn. I keep forgetting. All right, here we go.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Hey, everybody. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. It's January 31st, 2022. We got Anthony Melchiori right over there. I'm Glenn Hausman. Anthony, it was so great seeing you last week in sunny Los Angeles. Much better than coming home to that massive snowstorm we had here.
Was that literally last week?
Yeah, dude.
I'm like, I got to travel.
Right? It feels like forever.
I really have like, I'll walk through the airport and I'm getting on a plane, and I try to count how many times I've gotten on a plane. And I can never get the number. And like, as soon as I get off the plane, a week later, I'm like, I haven't traveled in a long time. It's been what, 5 days?
No, something like that. You left on Tuesday night, I think, right?
Yeah,
I saw you leaving the Wayfair, not looking forward to an overnight flight.
No, that's correct. I didn't get my upgrade, so I didn't sleep. So that takes me out.
That is not a good situation. I'll tell you what is a good situation. My kids and I, we shoveled the driveway, and I am feeling fit today with getting all that exercise with 1.5 feet of snow.
You know what's interesting? As much as I work out, I felt like I was going to have a heart attack.
All right. All right. We're going to get right into it right away because we've got an amazing guest, somebody who doesn't have to worry about shoveling snow because he's smart and lives in Florida. Roger Dow, President and CEO of U.S. Travel. How are you, sir?
Hey, guys. I'm doing really well. Thank you.
So, Roger, you look like you're more like you're keeping out the cold more than I am. How cold is it there?
It's brutal. It's almost 64 degrees today.
Oh,
I can't. I'm so sorry to hear that. I think we're at 19 degrees right now. Let me check.
All right.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you you doing that to remind us how cold we are. But Roger, you're there. You're in the warmth. You're focused on making sure people travel again. And last week at the Atlas conference, some of the numbers out there, they were talking about getting back to the way it should be by 2024. But really, we saw a story of the haves and the have-nots. Drive-to destinations were really the beneficiary of some great travel. As people weren't going overseas and stuff, but those urban cores have really been suffering. How do you right now see the state of the business today at the end of January 2022?
Well, when you really look at it, Glenn, it's we've lost almost $900 billion. That's with a B dollars as an industry.
Actually, Roger, I think Chip Rogers put out $110 billion last week as the.
That's through the whole pandemic. I was just talking 2021.
Wow.
But when you look at it, you hit it right on nail on the head. Domestic leisure is doing pretty well. It's probably 95, 96% of where it was in 2019. Where you're really getting hit is on the inner cities, the big cities, the big boxes, the business travel, the professional meeting events, and international. And that's probably at 50% for business travel and 22% for international. So you go in a big city and they've got challenges. You go to the beaches and you can't get a room.
Yeah.
And that's what we're experiencing. If you go online and just look at rates for tonight in New York City, outside of the 5-star hotels, which is they're at their lowest rate of $1,000. So if you want to stay at a 5-star hotel for the cheapest you'll get it, you can get it. Unless you go on one of those travel sites that you don't see prices until you book, you may get a really good deal.
And you're right. I keep telling people when they ask me where to travel, I said, boy, if you want to go to a city, if you want to see a Broadway show or whatever, do it now. The rates are phenomenal. Yes. And that's not going to last long. Yeah,
my daughter went to a Broadway show with her boyfriend the other day, and I think she got like great seats for like $40 or something.
Yep.
Wow, that's incredible. Also, a little bit sad that that's able to happen. Hopefully,
it always happens in January. This year,
that's true.
This year is happening deeper and longer. But listen. Like Roger said, it's the have and have-nots. And so if you want to go to a city, whether it be New York or somewhere else, now is the time to get deals. And the restaurants are busy. So you're going to go to the restaurants. You're going to feel the city in the restaurants. So you may not feel it on the streets, but in the restaurants, they're packed. I mean, New York City's going to their restaurants.
Yeah. So, Roger, I got to tell you, I'm getting real tired of Greek letters. I'm tired of Delta. I'm tired of Omicron. I'm tired of all the rest of them. As a matter of fact, I know that I feel like America is getting tired of it too. From the position of the travel industry, where do you think we are at psychologically, and what needs to get done in order to get people to feel normal again and get back to it?
I think just like the haves and have not, it depends on where you're from. I think people that are for some of the bigger cities are still a little paranoid, which I don't think they should be. The COVID as we know it is gone. Delta is, I'm not a doctor, but I hear is like 80% gone. And now there's Omicron. But you look at people from Florida, they're starting to travel. People, Arizona, Texas, they're traveling. Look at the football game last night. I don't know if you watched LA, San Francisco.
It was packed.
This was a stadium where everyone had to wear a mask. The only masks I saw were on a couple of cheerleaders and a couple of AV people. Other than that, 70-some thousand people were unmasked.
But Roger, I do want to make sure that I make this statement. New Yorkers are traveling. I mean, every one of my friends but me have been on vacation. Everybody's going somewhere. So New Yorkers are traveling. And I also want to make clear that, like the city isn't paranoid. Like you get this, I'm just talking about New York City. It's like, oh, everybody's freaking out. Nobody's going. New York is busy. Everybody I know is out going to dinner, going to parties, having weddings. So this theory that people in New York City are still hunkered down, I don't think is a correct one. And also, I think when you're talking about the variants, COVID in general, I think people in the big cities or any city is just concerned is if the hospital rates are down and the hospitals and the nurses and doctors have things under control and they have the supplies, we all feel better. We feel guilty, at least I'll talk for me. I feel guilty if I hear New York City hospitals, are packed and I can't get a bed. God forbid I have an asthma attack or something. Not that I have asthma anymore. But I think that's where kind of New York's head was because we saw the freezer trucks with the dead bodies. So I think New York is kind of as open as any other city I've been to, and I've been traveling a lot.
Well, I think you've got a good point among travelers. And the other thing, Anthony, among travelers is travelers are much more highly vaccinated than non-travelers. They're well over 80%.
Yes.
So it's a different, you may have some people in rural areas that may not be vaccinated, but very high vaccination rate among travelers.
Yeah. And I think it really comes down to if the hospitals are under control, then if you're not vaccinated, travel, wear your mask and travel. And God forbid you get sick, you'll have to deal with that either way. Maybe you'll just recover quickly, or maybe you'll have to go to a hospital. At least there'll be a hospital available for you.
I know a lot of people, I'm talking 20, 30 people have gotten this Omicron. Not one of them went to a hospital. They're talking it's like flu. They out for a couple of days.
Were they vaccinated? Were they vaccinated?
Not that bad.
Were they vaccinated?
Yes.
Well, there you go. Right. So any doctor we talk to, not to go down this road, but any doctor we talk to or I talk to, anybody they see in the hospital is non-vaccinated. I got it 3 weeks ago. I got a really bad headache and really bad back pain for 2 days. I was done. It's over. So if you're vaccinated, fine. So I think that's what we're talking about. So if you're non-vaccinated, as long as the hospitals have beds, then you'll just have to go to bed if you get sick. Other than everybody should travel. Everybody, vaccinated, not vaccinated, travel. Just wear a mask on the plane and everybody go about their business.
Well, and speaking on a plane, probably the safest place to be. I mean, we've got a Harvard study. We've got, the Mayo Clinics looked at it, and over 500 million people have been on a plane in the past year. And you can't find anyone that says, gee, I caught COVID on a plane. It's safer than being in the grocery store.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what do you say to America's government? What do you say to the U.S. government that still has restrictions? What are you saying to them? Because we got to get back to travel. So I imagine you're advocating that.
Yeah, we're talking to them right now and saying, look, the industry knows how to handle this. We've got all sorts of layered protocols, whether it be at airports, airlines, hotels. Let's start getting the message out that get back to travel, because I think the bigger harm is mental health and the economy. I mean, these poor small businesses that depend on travel have been hanging on by their fingernails if they're still around.
Right.
And I'm saying the government, you've got to look at these three things. Yeah, you got a health crisis, but you've also got a mental health crisis of people have been cooped up, kids that, wearing masks all the time, and then the whole economic crisis. And we've got to look at this thing in a balanced way and start moving again.
Yeah, as a person that goes to, I just came back from Florida and California. I tell you, it's a lot better to deal with COVID there than it is here simply because of the weather. So I'm not talking about politics, but the weather there is just better. In New York, when it's dreary, you're inside anyway, but you have COVID and it's dreary and it's cold. So it's just the mental health, I think, of every American, but specifically in the big cities when it's colder and kids are not going to school or they're going to school from home. I think the mental health issue is the number one priority
Right.
right now. Is I think the mental health issue, and you're seeing just a slew of celebrities just unfortunately killing themselves. I mean, we just had Miss
You just
America,
had one.
Miss USA, or just committed suicide, jumped off a building in New York City.
Horrible.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if that has caused by COVID or being cooped up. I don't know what it is.
It couldn't have helped.
It seems like there's a lot more than I ever remember. So yeah, the mental health is very, very important.
Yep.
So, Roger, again, the theme of the haves and the have-nots, when it comes to these mask mandates and stuff, and a lot of rules that jurisdictions are having state by state, my biggest concern is, in our hope to get group travel back, conference organizers are going to say, why should I book an event in New York and LA? They're already expensive. Why not go to Las Vegas? Why not go to Texas? Why not go to Florida? It's probably less money and the restrictions aren't as onerous and my people can enjoy myself. Is that an issue that you're starting to see happen and bubble up?
Yeah, and the other problem, Glenn, is there's so much inconsistency. I mean, I was just up in New York last week, and I had to call and find out what I had to do, what the protocols were. I was out in Las Vegas for a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and again, I had to call and find out, do I need a mask? Don't need a mask? So the inconsistency, and you're right, the winners have been, if you look at Orlando, Tampa, Miami, they're booked. They can't. They're trying to find more space to put meetings, and some of the other areas are hurting. And it's a real shame because so much happens beyond just staying in hotel rooms and eating restaurants when people travel.
But I also think one of the things that we forget, I support the union, but when you're opening these hotels again and you're putting these people back to work, is a much bigger lift than when you're in these other smaller non-unionized cities. Then when you open a hotel, if you close a hotel in New York City, when you're opening it, you're having to do things financially to ensure that the union is whole before you open. So that's a consideration. There's one hotel in New York City that has not opened any food and beverage outlets because of that reason. They're going to open it in the next couple of months, but they haven't opened it. So I really think we're talking about two different scenarios, because it is a lot more expensive to run a hotel in New York City.
Anthony, you mentioned bring people back to work. The big problem is the workforce. I mean, 34% of the people who lost their job in leisure and hospitality are not back at work. There's 1.3 million jobs open. I stayed in a hotel in New York City recently, major chain, and they said, if you need some from the housekeeping, call us because we're not making up rooms.
Yeah, but I think
they don't have enough workers.
I find that everywhere. I just came back from Florida, California, Vegas. Nobody's making up rooms, is for that, what I see. But is it, Roger, is it the jobs are open and there are people looking for work, or the jobs are open, nobody's looking for work? This is the problem. This is the thing that I'm working on the next couple of years of my life. We got to make the hospitality industry sexy again. We got to make it cool again. We got to bring people back. And right now, people just don't want those jobs, unfortunately.
And there's another thing, is there's a change in the workforce. Used to be 20 years ago is you come to work, we'll tell you when your shift is, we'll tell you when to show up, and you're going to work this Saturday or this Sunday, whether you like it or not. And now you've got a whole workforce through I think COVID accelerated, didn't create it, is saying, no, I want to be in charge of my life. I want to work when I want. We've got to look at work differently and allow flexibility. And we got to take a whole new look at how we manage and how we do these jobs.
Yeah. But it's so hard, Roger, because people are so set in their ways and have always done things because that's the way we do things. How do we get the industry in aggregate, as opposed to those few outliers over there, to really start to make those psychological changes so they can meet workers where the workers need to be met?
We're going to have to start piloting it in a couple of cities and showing that it works and showing that there's a different way of doing work. And that's one of the things that I'm very interested in doing in the next couple of years. And you and I know I'm going to be doing something else soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things that we talked about last week on our show is technology. Technology was before we were worried that it was going to take jobs away. Now, technology is going to take the jobs that nobody wants. So whether it be front desk, whether it be cleaning, whether it be vacuuming, whatever it is, that a lot of that in the next couple of years is going to go to technology, and there are going to be fewer jobs. Like you just said, that hotel may have had housekeepers that they could call in, but they decided not to because they can save money, and that's their new standard. Now the brand and the union are going to push back, because if it's a union hotel in New York City and they're not cleaning rooms every day, that's going against the agreement that was just signed not too long ago. They have to clean rooms every day. So, and if you're not, the union will come back and you will spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in back pay.
No question about it. And actually, the technology is going to help us a lot. You can do an awful lot on your phone from a training standpoint. I mean, you can get a housekeeper, put them in a room, and they can look at their phone, and you can tell them, do this, do that, and almost have them up to speed in 24 hours.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. So we've got a question from Shonda Lynch, and she's saying our young people just don't understand there's a hospitality career track. So how do you entice them? And Roger, this is an issue we talk often about on this show, because a lot of young people think working in the hotel industry means the front desk or housekeeping, period.
Yeah. We've got a bad reputation in this industry of being hamburger flippers and ticket takers and all of that. I flipped hamburgers. I took tickets in my career, and I'm not doing that much anymore. I think that people don't understand the career path, not only for everyone, but for even people who don't have that MIT education. If you're smart and if you hustle, and you know this, Anthony, from the restaurant business and from lodging, you can go 50% of the managers in the hotel business started as an hourly worker somewhere. This is one of the greatest places to grow and grow fast in a career, and you can work anywhere.
Yeah, and we talk about that almost on a daily basis here on our show, and it's absolutely true. So, Roger, I have a proposal for you. Before you leave, I know you're moving on to something else. Do you have a budget to do a commercial to make hospitality sexy again? I'll do it for free, and we need a commercial. We truly need a commercial about the cool job. Can't you see, like, me running around the hotel and being an architect, being a designer, being a housekeeper, being a front desk, being a general manager, being a wine connoisseur around the hotel, and showing these all jobs in the hotel business? We need that. We need to get that out there for everyone to see.
I speak to a lot of the groups that run hotel programs at universities, and I said, shame on you. I said, if you've got people in your school that want to be lawyers, want to be architects, want to be whatever they want to be, this industry has it. You ought to be talking to them about being in this business, not just be an operations person or run a food and beverage operation.
Me and Suzanne, our doctor producer, may have something up our sleeve when it comes to that and university. So that's my mission for the next couple of years. We got to make this industry sexy again.
Yeah, we certainly do, Roger. I'd love to participate in that. Now, you've said it a couple of times, so I guess the cat's out of the bag. You're retiring, from U.S. travel. Why now and when?
Well, I took this job 17 years ago for 5 years, and I don't know what happened, but it's just a time when I think it's to move on. I'm so proud of the things we've done as an industry, but I now want to, getting to a point I've got one more opportunity to do something else, and I want to take advantage of that and turn the reins over to someone else that can take this industry and U.S. travel to the next level.
That's awesome. I can't wait to find out what
Chip Rogers,
Anthony.
Chip Rogers is taking Roger's job.
No, you heard it here.
I think he's pretty happy over there.
All right.
So, what are you most proud of in your time at U.S. Travel?
Besides being on this show.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's a good
that was almost the only thing. But if you think beyond that, I think it's a couple of getting people in Congress to understand that this is a real industry. When I first started, we had to explain what the heck we were. We don't have to do that anymore. But I'm proud of Brand USA. We now have a huge marketing arm of for this, and I'm proud of opening up international. When I got there, we had 50 million international visitors. 2019, we had 80 million. Opened up China. And I think really exposing the United States to more areas around the world. And I think really proud of the growth of international.
So with all the money, and you saw it through COVID, you saw it through the bailout, we have money we can print if we want to. Why hasn't there been billions of dollars spent on advertising how wonderful it is to travel to America?
And it really should be done. I mean, right now, Brand USA, which we created, is one of the things I'm very proud of, has a $200 million budget, but they get their money from visitors. So they're running out of money. So we've got a program in front of Congress to reauthorize them for $250 million short term, just to make sure we don't lose that and that we can market. It's the easiest return on investment. The people travel, you and I travel 2-3 nights. That's a long stay for us. Mm-hmm. International visitors stay 16 nights. They spend a fortune. They spend $4,500 per person. We should want them. We should be promoting like crazy. Best return on investment you can have.
Yeah.
I agree.
Go ahead, Anthony.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, we're selling America. That's our number one commodity.
Right.
And we're doing it. We need to put more money in it.
And the fact is,
I've said to every single Secretary of State, from Hillary Clinton back to the Republicans to the Democrats, I said, this is your stealth public diplomacy. We've done all sorts of research. When people come to America, they go back home and feel 75% more positive about America and Americans. People have been here about 21%. I said, what would be worth to get 10 more million people coming from around the world? It's a stealth public.
You know how many people I talk to that say New Yorkers are nicer than I thought?
Yeah.
It's like, as long as you don't talk to them at rush hour, they're fine.
That's right.
That is very true. So, Roger, just to understand the program, of course, we all understand it here, but for those who are watching, when visitors come to the United States as part of like visa fees or whatever, they pay in to this pool that you folks are able to use. It's a real public-private partnership. No money is taken from tax dollars. But interestingly enough, I feel like every other country around the world has like a minister of tourism or, someone that it could be a cabinet level position. Why do we still not have this? Why do we have such a hubris that we think everybody just wants to come here and we don't have to do anything?
It's a real mistake. I mean, it should be at a cabinet level, you say, as in all around the world, every single country. The Minister of Tourism sits at the table with the president, with the head of the country. And again, because there's so much into international tourism beyond just the dollars and cents from a diplomacy standpoint. Right now, we've gotten the most recent bill we passed. The Commerce Department is going to add a new deputy secretary for travel and tourism. So we're stepping it up a bit. But I think there's really an opportunity to do this because other countries understand that's where you get jobs. That's how you fill the economy. That's how you get people working.
And that's how you get people to come that own a business in another country and come here and go, oh, let me open my business here. It's not as bad as I thought. Or you know what? I may not open it in New York, but I can open in New York City, but maybe I can open it in New York State. And so you're getting business people from around the world to visit. And so to me, I think the smartest thing Glenn ever said, and that's a high bar.
Anthony do the show with me every day?
I was going to say that, actually. And that's the high bar is a minister of tourism. I mean, somebody that sits at the table. Matter of fact, now that you're saying it, that there's not a cabinet level person at the table,
crazy.
It's insane.
Well, when you think of 1 in 10 Americans get their job from this industry, I was talking to the head of one of the biggest upscale department stores in New York, and he said, if it wasn't for the international visitors, he said, I'd have to close my doors.
Of course.
He said, we get so much money from the international visitors shopping here. They're critical to the economy, especially in areas like New York.
Walk on Fifth Avenue in front of that store you're probably talking about, okay? And I guarantee you won't hear anyone speaking English.
Yep.
They're from every place in the world, but they're not from here. Fifth Avenue, literally, and I've done this with my daughters. They're like, okay, we're going to go from one corner to another. How many languages do you hear?
Yep.
And very rarely will you hear English. You'll hear Brooklynese, but that's not English.
That's not English.
Right? Yeah, definitely not. I'm convinced that companies like Century 21, which is discount shopping, if they didn't have international travels,
is it coming back? Is Century 21 back?
They're still, I think, out on Long Island or something like that.
But they got to come back. When they closed, they died.
Right. Now, the biggest problem, Roger, that we haven't really talked about is, sure, if you look at paper, we have 80 million people, as you said, maybe coming over here. But since 9/11, we're talking about September 2001, we've continued to kind of remain stagnant or grow a little bit at a much, much, much slower pace than the world tourism pie has grown. So it looks like we're steady, but we're actually getting a much lower percentage of people choosing to come to America. Is that correct?
And that is correct. The opportunity, the people that want to come here, we don't make it easy. To get a visa and all that. We don't make it that easy on folks to come here. And I used to have a bumper sticker outside my office door that said, "Tourists are not terrorists," and they really are not. And we want these people to come and feel good. And yes, the the middle class of spending around the world has grown so exponentially since September 11th. The opportunity is much bigger than the 80 million we got in 2019.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. Gordon Storm, you're going to Las Vegas. Where are you staying, and what's bringing you to Vegas? I'm curious as to why people are going to Las Vegas these days.
I've been to Las Vegas several times. CES was just out there and was a phenomenal show.
Yep.
That really set the model on, we can get people traveling international. Then I was out at PCMA recently there. I'm going out for Destination International. For your listeners, that's the Convention and Visitors Bureaus have their big meeting. We have a major event called IPW, which the largest buyers of travel from around the world. These are people that sit down with Disney and say, what's my price if I buy 10,000 tickets? What if I buy 30,000? I mean, this is $4 billion in a few days, and that'll be in Las Vegas in September. And probably 80% of all the travel comes to the country comes through that event.
Well, Roger, anytime you're in Vegas, we can go and do our podcast from there. You say Vegas, we're on a plane.
I love it. We'll do it in person. Much better than these podcasts in person.
All right, so what needs to be done next, Roger? When are you stepping down? I should ask. Is it this summer?
I'm going to step down at the end of July of this year. So I gave him a year's notice. I think that's fair.
So when you make the announcement, are you going to make the announcement of where you're going before you leave, or no?
Yes, in a couple of months.
So hopefully you can make it on the show, my friend.
I'm wide open to that. You guys are great friends. But the bottom line is we've got to work on our whole infrastructure, the ability to get through an airport. We've got to get technology. When people start traveling again, getting through TSAs can be a nightmare. We've really got to use technology. We can't just have people looking at your driver's license and try and figure out, is that you or is that your photo from 10 years ago?
Listen, Clear, if you're not a member of Clear, anybody listening to this, you're out of your mind.
You must join Clear.
Clear is my favorite thing in the world.
Love Clear. And Roger, craziest thing happened to me with Clear. I got to use my fingers again when I was coming back from LA. I'm used to just doing the eye thing over the last couple of years. So it feels like things are getting back to normal in that regard.
So Roger, can I ask you one question before you leave? LaGuardia Airport, what do you think?
I love it. The changes that are going now, still got a ways to go, but the changes are unbelievable. I never thought they could take LaGuardia to the level where they have. Now you walk a little further. That's the only problem. But boy, it is a night and day change, and they still have some areas to go. But
the Delta terminal. I can't wait till that opens up, Roger. But it's unbelievable. It's so incredible watching Skanska build a brand new airport on an old airport without slowing up any bit of airport traffic.
Well, you do have to walk through the parking lot, through a shed, around.
You do have to do that right now. That's only been the last couple of months.
And you're 5 feet from the highway, so.
Yes.
But they've done a fabulous job, really a great job. I was skeptical, but having gone through it the past couple of months, it's really getting to be a great airport again.
Well, my endpoint was when I was in Belize, and then I went to LaGuardia, and the airport in Belize was better than the airport in LaGuardia. That's why I'm saying they got to change this airport.
I think so.
But that's the North Shore of Long Island. You go to the South Shore of Long Island, and Governor Hochul just announced that looks like a plan that was supposed to start in 2020 is actually moving forward now. $9.5 billion terminal, which is going to combine 1, 2, and 3 spots over there, where we don't have a Terminal 3 anymore. That already got wrecked.
Is this LaGuardia?
This is at JFK. Terminal 2 is a weird disaster that probably should never have been built. Looked like temporary, but it's lasted way too long. And Terminal 1 is just, I think, at the end of its life. So that's $9.5 billion. I understand American is expanding. JetBlue is expanding with an international terminal. Really exciting that they're planning to go ahead. So they feel like things are going to do well in the future. How do you feel about JFK and other airports that are expanding?
Same thing. I think great changes. JFK has been evolving for several years. Problem is getting there. Our road system. I mean, just the other day, going to LaGuardia was a nightmare coming out of the city. And this is, less people are taking public transportation. So it's not just the airport, but we've got to figure out the road system so you can get there.
Yeah, if you go past LaGuardia or JFK to go anywhere, give yourself an extra hour, literally. Yeah. Any hour of the day.
And we definitely need a train at LaGuardia Airport, because when I used to take the subway, then you'd have to get out, you have to drag your bags out of the subway onto a bus and all of that. And that's just not the way people want to do things. If you're working at the airport, maybe that's okay. But if you're going away for an extended period of time, it really makes it difficult. How much is a great airport mean to people wanting to go to that city?
All you have to do is ask the people in Dallas, ask the people in Tampa. I mean, these airports, as they grow and become great airports, everything comes there. Businesses move there, people relocate there. The airport is critical. It's the front door to economic development.
It's interesting. When I was in Tampa doing some business last year, I went in and out on day trips simply because the airport was so accessible and so easy to deal with that I was like, you know what? Typically, I wouldn't go down. I'll go early in the morning. I'll come back at night and I'll do a day trip. So because of the Tampa airport, I would go in and out like I was going into Manhattan.
It's a terrific airport. I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, and D.C., but it's a terrific airport getting in and out. Joe Lopano that runs the airport's done a great job there.
Yeah.
And what do you think about what's going on at LAX? Because it's kind of still in flux with the construction over there.
It's a mess right now, but it is going to be pretty cool when it's done. LAX, the problem is you got this horseshoe, again, it's getting to the airport.
Seemed great when they built it originally, right? Really cool.
Yeah.
But not working now.
But billions of dollars going in there. It will be a great airport again, but it's going to take a little while.
Yeah, I just went into LAX and I got picked up from a guy who drives me when I'm out there, who's the best in the world. So if anybody needs a driver, DM me. And it was great. I didn't have to. It was right in the front, but I understand if you have to get an Uber or a taxi, you have to go like halfway across the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kyle is saying the air train from LAR Jamaica isn't too bad. He did it a few times. No, at least it's convenient. And you don't have to get on a bus or something like that. I think it only costs subway toll plus $5 or something like that, which makes it really, really, convenient. I didn't know. TAI, they've been through a major refurb. So before we wrap up, Roger, you've accomplished a lot. What do you hope to get before you leave in July? And what do you hope that whoever succeeds you in the position will be able to accomplish?
We need to get Brand USA this money because, Brand USA it's critical to New York, but New York has a big budget. But when you talk other areas in the country, it levels the playing field. It allows other areas of the country to promote internationally, which they never could do before. Like to see more H-2B visas and J-1 visas, which is the temporary workers from outside the United States. Like to see our infrastructure really get serious about improving and really getting serious about instead of kicking the can down the road on infrastructure. And I really want to get China traveling back to the U.S. again. That's a major amount of revenue coming to the U.S. and it's going to be a while till China comes back. But I'd love to see Asia get back coming to the U.S.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think about the issue regarding small town airports that are losing air service? How critical is that to the travel and tourism infrastructure in our country?
It's a problem because a lot of Americans live in those areas, and as you're losing flights, it is a problem. If you can't travel to an area, it hurts their economy.
Right.
Wouldn't even want to live there if they can't travel from there. So
how do you solve that in a capitalist society? Because you can't force XYZ airline to have flights out of there, right?
No, but you get a lot of these areas, especially like ski areas and all that are subsidizing actually the airlines to come in there. And we've just, I think we've got to get other modes of transportation. Just think if we could ever get from Washington, D.C. to New York, just high-speed rail, we could take 40% of the people out of New York airports. It would be a game changer, but we've got to bite the bullet. It's costly, and every year we kick it down the road, and it only works in places like between New York, Philadelphia, Washington, Boston, places like that. You can't run high-speed
rail. Get me off the highways. I don't take a plane there. I drive, and it would take me off the highway.
Yeah. No, absolutely. When I lived in New York City, Roger, I would always take Boston, Philly, DC corridor, always take Amtrak. Because it was a lot more convenient. Amtrak happens to be a really nice way to travel in the Northeast corridor. You get big seats. It feels like first class. You can get the internet access complimentary. And they've got other great amenities. So I highly recommend it if you guys have
Acela is great. And it's actually switched that sometimes the Acela is sold out when I come up to New York and I've got a flight.
And I don't know, I haven't been on Amtrak in years, but when I was a kid, we used to go up to Washington and it had the best cheeseburgers.
Did they?
I'm sure that's true.
I don't think we could go anywhere beyond that. Roger Dow, anything else that you want to say before we let you go, sir?
No, you guys are great. You do such a great thing for traveling. Anthony, you are right. We've got to make this industry, people know that it is sexy as it is. It is a sexy industry. It's a great place to work.
There's so many people that have done such great things and have such a great career financially and also just in their career. They've seen wonderful things. And, most of my friends in this industry has been in this industry a long time, make a lot of money, and they have nice houses and nice cars, and they've traveled to nice places. They've worked their ass off like we all have. But this is there's no better industry. And like you said, 1 in 10 people feed their family from this industry.
But the other thing is, while you're working your butt off, it's fun. You're always meeting new people. It's something different every day. I mean, I've got a brother-in-law who makes a lot of money. He's in the plumbing business, but it sure isn't that exciting. This is a fun place to be.
Yeah, well, they call me Anthony Story because I have a story about every person that you've ever seen on TV or in business most people think I know, I've met celebrities through what I did on TV. I never met anybody on TV, but when I was in the hotel business, matter of fact, I'm on TV because of somebody I met in the hotel business that helped me get on TV. So, and get my movie made and get everything. So it's where everything starts. I mean, and you can tie almost everybody back to the industry. Everybody is started in the service industry. I mean, everybody. Sebastian, the comedian, talks about when he worked at the Four Seasons as a doorman. It really taught him about, luxury and nice things and wonderful service.
No, it's still the greatest industry in the world. And the great thing about it, you can work anywhere. If you're in technology, you better be in the Northeast Corridor or down in Texas or the West Coast. If you're in travel and tourism, I don't care if it's Fort Lauderdale or Fargo, New York, or New Delhi, you can have a career.
I always say if you're a teacher and a travel expert, you can work anywhere.
You got it.
Right. You can even host your own video podcast. So you got that, guys, out there. Roger Dow, thank you so much for being here. We continue to look forward to seeing what you do in the next 5 months or so, and hope to get you back before you change it up. Thank you, sir.
You guys are the best. Thanks so much.
Have a great one. Take care, Roger. Love you.
Yeah. Man, please come back and tell us where you go. Make sure you hear it first.
I know. Yeah. Break the news with us, Roger. All right. Anthony, I know you had something on your mind.
Well, that's the smartest thing you've ever said. Like we need a cabinet level tourism person. It's crazy how much money and how much taxes come into this country because of tourism. Mm-hmm. I mean, you walk down Fifth Avenue, you go into an airport, all you see is bags and bags and bags and bags of stuff. People just bringing their stuff home. So anyway.
Yeah. Right, dude, when I was flying out to LA, there was a family that must have been going to Israel or something like that. There were like 20 people and 80 bags. Absolutely. How much stuff did they buy while they were here in the United States? You know?
So I'm about to go on a rant, but not a rant, but I want to express something because I think it's important. Now, don't roll your eyes, but recently,
all right.
Recently, there has been a lot of controversy about Joe Rogan, right?
Right.
Now, I am a listener of Joe Rogan, and you've heard me say on this podcast, I'm a big fan, but I have had some issues with some content that he has. So I simply shut it off.
And over time, that's kind of what drove me away. I just start to get bored with that.
Right. But that's okay.
Yeah.
But there's this thing there's disinformation. Right. So what he did, and I was very happy to see because everybody from Neil Young to Joni Mitchell, everybody's banning. They don't want to be on Spotify anymore.
Well, I don't know if you knew this little word. Yoko Ono threatened that if they didn't pull down Joe Rogan, she would put up her music to listen to. So look out.
So he just went on a 9-minute kind of he grabbed his phone, he went 9 minutes and explained himself. So if you haven't heard his side, please go to TMZ and listen to him because it actually is clear. And what's clear is anybody he's had on his show, there's two controversial figures that he had on the show. One basically invented what is going into the COVID vaccine. And the other person is a person that is the most read and most written, published, I should say, cardiologist in history. Mm-hmm. So these are two people that know what they're talking about from their perspective. But he's also had people on like Dr. Michael, how do you say his last name? Who's we've had on the show, Osterholm.
Osterholm.
Yeah, he's been on our show, and he's Biden's go-to guy, right?
Right.
So he's had everybody on.
Right.
What we cannot afford in this country anymore is we cannot afford sound bites.
Yep.
I am a listener of his podcast. Somebody said to me, well, yeah, you don't listen to all his podcasts or you don't listen for 3 hours. Yes, I do. I just don't, it doesn't spend 3 hours a day. Sometimes it takes me 2 weeks to listen to one. And I've listened from everything from UFC fighters to astrologists to doctors. And there are some things like when he had, what's that guy's name? The crazy guy, Jones. Alex Jones. I don't like him, so I don't listen to him. Okay.
Right.
So that doesn't, but he does, and he actually holds him accountable for all the nonsense. And he said what he said about Sandy Hook. He basically said, "You're out of your mind," and he said, "Well, it's because of drugs, whatever." If you listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, and I'm not getting paid to say this, and I'm a person that has had issues with some of his podcasts, that's what this country needs more of. We need long form discussion.
That's right.
We don't need, you go on Fox, half of it is just, a blurb that, just needs to get eyeballs. You go on CNN, same thing. Anywhere you go, they're trying to get viewers for content. When you go to Joe Rogan, he books his guests. He talks about stuff that is controversial, but he very rarely does he have an opinion. He just wants to get thought out there.
Right.
And he said, Neil Young was invited on the show. He loves him. Big fan. He's not mad at him. If you listen to his temperament, it's not even what he said. His temperament. He is getting crushed by the world. And he's like, hey, man, this is how I feel. This is what I think. Thank you for your support. The people that hate me, I love you too. But if you're going to judge his content, all I ask is listen to it. If you don't want to listen to it anymore, don't listen to it. But the problem is not people like Joe Rogan. The problem is the talking heads that are on TV selling bullshit to people.
Yeah, I completely agree with that assessment. If you don't like it, turn it off. That's one of the miracles that we have here in our society.
He is not like, if you go to Fox or CNN, they're opinionated shows. They're entertainment. You go to Joe Rogan and he asks incredible questions. His ability to recall information, second to none.
Also,
and he calls bullshit on people.
He does. And he also says, oh, I never heard that before. I didn't know that. That's interesting. It's not like he's sitting and advocating every single point of view that I don't particularly agree with. It's just that he's learning. And that's the whole point of a long form discussion, to hear what everybody thinks. And then as mature people, make your own judgments.
On one podcast, he said something that the vaccine gives young children a certain type of effect, and more than if you do have the vaccine, you can get this whatever disease it was or problem, as opposed to if you don't have it. And the person that he invited on the show said, Joe, you're 100% wrong. These are the facts. You're wrong. Okay. Then he had Sanjay Gupta on. Everybody said, oh, Sanjay Gupta got his ass kicked, or Joe Rogan got his ass kicked. If you listen to it, it was a good conversation about two people having an opinion. And one of the things Joe Rogan asked him, Sanjay Gupta said to him, hey, now that even though you had COVID, you should get the vaccine. And Joe Rogan simply asked the question, why? And then he also said things like that were controversial back in the day, that COVID came out of China's lab. And if you would have said that 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, whenever it was, they would have blackballed you. Now it's front page of Newsweek, as he said. So and before it was like, well, the COVID vaccine, if you have the COVID vaccine, you won't get 70% chance you won't get COVID. That's disproven now, but you won't get as sick. That's still proven. So it's just really good information. And sometimes he's talking about controversial things that prove themselves out as true. And again, I was almost turning it off because there was a couple of shows I did not enjoy, but I didn't shut them off because I was mad at them. I just didn't like, I was over like these shows. I was like, come on, can we talk about, like, I don't know, tennis or something? I'm kind of tired of talking about COVID.
One of the topics that he's talked about a lot in the past that I really liked is where they talk about ancient history stuff, and how like maybe the Sphinx has been there for like 20,000 years because of the water markings on it from back when it was before it was a desert and stuff like that, and all these civilizations that have probably come and gone that we didn't know about. I like all of that kind of stuff. I think that's really
and I agree. But Colleen, who I think she deserves a response because she's one of our biggest fans. If someone reports the news, why is it opinionated? It happens, and that's great.
But that's not what we're seeing on news channels.
When I was growing up, did that. Walter Cronkite did that. If you go on Fox and you tell me that you're just giving you the facts and nothing but the facts, or CNN, that's bullshit.
None of
it's
them
an opinionated show.
And
so they're not
Americans don't know that or understand that.
If CNN says Trump's out of his mind, that's an opinion. If somebody on Fox says Biden is senile, that's an opinion. Okay, I want to know, what did Biden say? What did Trump say? What did Glenn say? So no, Colleen, I'm all for the news. What we're getting today is not news. And we're getting opinions. And just recently there was a lawsuit, and it said that one of the shows on Fox is an entertainment-only show, and most people don't believe what's coming out of his mouth.
It was Tucker Carlson. They were accused of some stuff in Europe, and they said, well, we're not a news program. It's an entertainment program. And that's what the problem is. They're marketing these programs as news when they're opinion programs. Back in the day, Fox News, they would have at the top of the hour and the bottom of the hour, they would report the headlines and then make it clear that what followed in between the other spaces was opinion broadcasting. All of that has gone away with all the major news networks, and now they're trying to fill space with, and there's not enough news, so it's all opinions.
Well, it's like all you have to do is go to TikTok or Instagram, right? And everything that you watch is fed into you. So if you watch that, all that stuff comes back to you. So I'm a big poker fan. I'm a big skier. I love the outdoors. I like to work out. So all that stuff comes to me, right? It all comes to me. So they feed you that stuff. So that's why you get brainwashed. So you give me the news, I'll listen to this. That's what Joe Rogan does. He puts it in front of you. And guess what? I've laughed at him and in a good way. And I've also said, Joe, you're out of your mind. Right. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what America's built on. You're supposed to have your own views. And Colleen said, come on, you rich New Yorkers can pay for that. I don't know what she means, but that
was back when Roger was on.
Let me explain something to you, Colleen. The only people that are rich are people that come and buy condos in New York and go back to their country.
Right.
If you live in New York, all your money spent on living in New York.
Right. Right. What happened to constructed debate? Russ, you're absolutely right. Debates usually go like this right now. This is my opinion. And then the other person says, you suck. You're a horrible person for believing that, as opposed to saying, that's an interesting point of view. These are the facts that I know. And therefore, I've come to a different conclusion, and this is why.
And this is why I got really irritated about this in the last month or two when everybody talks about Joe Rogan. And being a person that turned him off a little bit because he was talking about the same thing, where I wasn't becoming as big a fan as I was, but I had a feeling that I really needed, when people talk to me, this is what I asked them.
Right.
I was like, do you listen to him? I listened to a little bit. I saw it. I saw that. I was like, they always cut him off. He's 3 hours. So he went on one breath. He says, something about Trump that seems like, oh, he's supporting Trump. The next breath, he says, I want Michelle Obama to be president. Right. I believe in Bernie Sanders, and what Bernie Sanders stands for. So you cannot put people, whether it's Joe Rogan or me or anyone else. And that's what frustrates me about me, people about me. That's why I don't talk about anything that's controversial, because if I say anything, people put me in a box.
Yep. That's really frustrating.
We got to stop the bullshit and realize our biggest problems are our enemies. Whether it be Russia or whether it be China or whether it be not having manufacturing in this country, we need to have manufacturing. We need to have the cabinet member for tourism. We need to worry and focus on this country being the best country in the world and stop going after each other because we disagree. I'm an independent. I don't fall on either side. I have a brain. Okay. It's a very small one, but it is a brain.
Right. I'm big enough to know that you want to work with me. So thank God we have that.
You know what? I can go, dude. I can go. I wish somebody was here to go against me, because I'm in the mood to argue about this, because, Kim says preach. I'm not preaching. I'm just simply saying, if my daughter wants to be in the Democratic Party, I support her. If my daughter wants to be in the Republican Party, I support her. If my children see things skewed, I will try to change their mind and say that is not true. The people that went in the building, into the Capitol, in my opinion, don't belong there and should be arrested. If you have a different opinion of that, that's okay. But I don't understand how breaking into a federal building isn't against the law and how they shouldn't be held accountable, or how that is not a terrorist act. Like, so you can argue with me, but argue facts. Is it a terrorist act? Of course it is. Is it against the law? Of course it is. Were they there to get attention and do damage? Of course they were. So what is that? If you tell me there were patriots, bullshit. Cops died, there were patriots. You want to be patriots? Join the army and take the hill. Don't tell me they're patriots.
Yep.
And that has nothing to do with me being Republican or Democrat.
That's right.
Okay, if my daughter did that, I want her arrested.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that has to do with being American. And that's what we should all be thinking about. Americans first with each other. Stop fighting over dumb BS that you watched on your one-sided news channel and don't have all of the facts. It doesn't make
right. And I love when I say that, people immediately jump to, friends of mine jump to, well, what happened when the Black Lives Matter movement happened and they were throwing things through the windows? Arrest them. They're not standing up for civil rights. They're just violent. Violence, Martin Luther King stood for nonviolent. Okay, I don't know if he was alive today, how different the world would be. I don't know why throwing a shopping cart and stealing sneakers is standing up for what Martin Luther King believed. It's not. So they should be arrested. Don't throw that bullshit at me that, well, they did it. They should all be arrested.
Dude, I can't stand when people use someone else's actions to excuse their own actions or opinions. BS. And I'm calling them
I'm mad at Colleen. Talking
about
politics and religion. I am not talking about politics and religion. I'm talking about the right to have an opinion. So you have a right to have your opinion. You're putting me in a box, Colleen. Colleen, you're not allowed on this platform anymore. You're banned.
And I am not in a political party because I have opinions that will get me in trouble with both parties. So there you go. If you want to hear more of this Grace and Living chat, or just go back and hear what Roger Dow had to say again, well, why not listen to our audio-only podcast? Suzanne, that's my job. Now she's laughing because finally someone made a mistake that I didn't cause, which is awesome. Listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Dare I even say, listen to whatever station Joe Rogan might be on, because we're there too. We haven't pulled down our stuff. No, our podcast is still there. If you want to reach out to us directly, he's at Anthony Hotels, and I'm at Traveling Glenn.
And the only thing I ask, again, it has nothing to do with Joe Rogan. Listen to his 9-minute conversation to his audience about how he feels and what he thinks. After that 9 minutes, if you think he's he's bullshit and controversial and he's trying to feed one line of bullshit, don't listen to him anymore. But that was the best response. Matter of fact, he pulled me back as a fan by saying what he said, because I was like, how is he going to come out from this? He may get blackballed. And I don't think he could have done it better. It was unscripted. It was him on the phone. Mm-hmm. He made actually a couple of mistakes about music because he was just talking from riffing, and then he had to apologize for that. But that's what we have to do more of. We have to accept. And he said, I have to be a little bit more careful. If I'm going to have somebody controversial on, I have to have somebody right after him with an opinion, or when they're together, so they can refute each other. And in the beginning, if he's going to talk about COVID, he's going to talk about things that are controversial, there's a warning that says, please consult your doctor, right? So he's not a renegade saying, bullshit. He's saying, I could be more thoughtful. And what's better than that?
Yeah. Interesting that you should mention that, because it reminds me of when here in the United States, we had something called the Fairness Doctrine, which was put in place by the FCC just before television really became a thing. And the whole notion behind that is, if you have somebody who's expressing one point of view, you need to give someone who has the other point of view free and equal access to say those positions. The government got rid of that, and now everything's kind of gone cuckoo for cocoa.
You know what drives me nuts? I'll tell you what drives me nuts. Every 8-year-old has this, right? Or maybe probably 6-year-old has this. Mm-hmm. You can't say fuck on TV, but you can show porn to your 8-year-old on the phone.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
That's crazy. 8-year-olds have access to that kind of crap, but you can't use a curse word on TV.
Yeah, exactly. All right, before we go, yes, Suzanne, thank you for the reminder. Congratulations to Dave being named one of the 25 most inspirational executives in travel and hospitality. And also to Suzanne.
Dave
for
who?
being named-
Dave who?
And for Suzanne being named one of the most influential educators as well. So congratulations to our Crackerjack
Congratulations,
team.
When you
Making
said
great
Dave
accomplishments
who?
that we're not associated with.
Dave who? Dave who?
Mignano, you might have heard of him. Our producer.
Wait, he was voted what?
One of the top 25 most inspirational executives in travel and hospitality.
He's been in this business for 35 seconds. How'd that happen?
He knows people.
I love Dave, but that's a pretty great honor for a guy that's been, still wearing training wheels.
I know. It's because he's doing all the jobs.
Okay, I gotta go look at where that award came from. I want to see if his family paid for it. No, I think David's wonderful. But anyway, I shouldn't be clearing my eyes on camera.
Sorry, it's the top 20 executives to watch, not top 25, Dave. So you're bigger badass than we even thought. All right, everybody, let's get out of here today. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
see y'all tomorrow.